Hey everyone, my name is Blake Cadwell. I'm the co-founder at Soundly.com. And in this video, we're going to be talking about caption phones. Specifically, we're going to be reviewing CaptionCall by Sorensen. It's the leading caption phone in the United States. I'm going to take you through the installation process, all the way through to how the phone works, some of the important options that you'll need to discuss. We'll talk about costs and also who could be a candidate for a caption phone. So if that sounds interesting, stick around, we'll get into it. In order to properly review CaptionCall's devices, we actually had an installation here in our test studio. We brought in one of their installers, they installed the phone, it fully works, and it's sitting here in our studio today. So throughout this video, I'll walk you through some demonstrations of how the screen actually works, what the phone looks like, and how you can get amplified sound. Now, before we talk more about technology, it's worth noting that CaptionCall's devices are of no cost to the end consumer. The only prerequisite that you need to provide is that you do have hearing loss and that you need captions in order to properly communicate on the phone. Those are questions that will be asked to you and not to a doctor. You do not need a doctor's note to access these devices. Now, if you're like me, you may be wondering, what's the catch? The answer is pretty simple. The FCC actually takes a small fee from leading telecommunications companies like AT&T, T-Mobile, Verizon, and those fees fund this program. So if you're looking for a catch, there really isn't one. Caption phones in general, from CaptionCall or from other companies like them, are really of no cost to you. That includes the installation, the hardware, and everything that comes along with it. All right, so let's dig into the technology from CaptionCall. There are basically two main technologies that are available. We're going to cover each one in their own section in this video. The first is the landline portion of the CaptionCall offering, where they actually install a landline device. It has a large screen that shows your captions, it has a volume control, you can put contacts in, it has a voicemail. It acts a lot like a traditional landline phone. The second option is a smartphone app that interacts with your Android or Apple device, depending on what you use, and actually gives you live captions while you're taking phone calls on your cell phone. So let's start with the landline, and we're going to start with the installation process because that's where this all begins. Now, if you want to get a CaptionCall device, you'll go to their website and you'll fill out a form and they'll get in touch with you. We'll link that form down below. Now, when they get in touch with you, they'll schedule an appointment to come out to your location. They'll bring all of the hardware they need, and they have a lot of flexibility into how they can get this CaptionCall device working. Now, in my case, I did not have a home phone jack or a place to plug in directly. So they actually used a Bluetooth connection to my cell phone. So my cell phone essentially powers the landline device. There are a number of other options. If you have either internet or you have cell phone service in your home, you'll be able to use one of their landline devices. There are numerous ways they can hook it up that will match your preferences and your needs. After the device was installed, the trainer stayed with me for over an hour, walking me through all of the features, helping me customize things to my exact needs, adding contacts, customizing the soundscape and the volume, etc. We troubleshooted a couple of things around connection, and when he left, I felt like I had a really solid product that was totally turnkey. Now, I love that CaptionCall offers this service because there's nothing worse than getting a piece of technology and trying to figure out where the cords go and how to connect it to the right network, especially a piece of technology that you're not familiar with. So the fact that they take this all front to back, they'll also come pick up the phone if you ever don't want it anymore. They completely make this a turnkey service. I think that's really fantastic. The device itself is installed somewhere in your home, and it has all the basic features that you would expect. It's got a ringer, it has contacts that you can add, you can put contact favorites in place, caller ID, it has a voicemail button that allows you to actually play your voicemail. If you're familiar with a landline that you might have had 20 years ago, this is going to operate in a very similar way with a few distinctions. Now, the first important distinction is the volume of the phone itself can go much louder than an average phone that you would get at Walmart or Target or Sam's Club. These devices can have an additional 40 dB boost while you're listening on the landline. The speakerphone can be extremely loud and the ringer can be extremely loud. So you can set all of these things up to match whatever you need, but it can give you a lot of additional boost if you are someone who has hearing loss and is looking for some additional volume coming through your phone. The second important feature of this phone that's different than a phone you might get somewhere else is that you can actually change the frequencies that are coming through your phone to match your particular hearing loss. Now, in my case, I have a cookie bite, so I would bring the mids up and the highs and the lows down because I need more boost in the middle. Many people have a sloping hearing loss, so they might bring the high frequencies up to give themselves more clarity. Ultimately, you can play with this and figure out what helps you the most on a phone call. But this is a feature and an option that's not going to be available in most landlines that you would have in your home. Of course, the main feature of the CaptionCall device is the caption screen. So the device has a large screen on it that displays your captions. You can set the size of the text to be larger, which of course means it moves a little bit faster, or smaller, which means you'll have more words on each line, depending on what your preferences and needs are. You can work with your installer to do this, or you can tweak it on your own in the settings of the phone. The caption feature in this phone prompts a couple of interesting questions. The first is, where do the captions come from? What's actually generating the words that you're going to see on the screen? And the second is, are they any good? So let's answer the first question. In general, CaptionCall uses one of two methods. The first method is an actual live transcriber who is putting those words on your screen. The second option is using word recognition and displaying those on the screens. When it comes to the smartphone app, which we'll talk about more in a moment, the process is entirely automated. So you're not joined by anyone else on the call for that service. Now, I naturally had a handful of questions about privacy, and it was shared with me that there are some very strict protocols around the captioning agents, where they sit, the privacy of the spaces that they're in, and what's done with the transcriptions after the call is complete. That's important to note. You can decide if you want to save a transcription or you don't want to save a transcription on your device. All right, so now you have a sense for how the landline portion of the CaptionCall service works. Let's talk about the smartphone app. Now, you download the smartphone app onto your iPhone or your Android device. You'll open it up, you go through a registration process in which you'll explain that you do have hearing loss, that you need captions. You'll also give a little bit of your information, and then you'll end up on a home screen. And in that home screen, you'll have a few basic options. You'll have your dial pad where you can simply dial and call. You'll have your contacts, which you can import from your phone, and you'll have your voicemail where you can listen to voicemails that have come in through your CaptionCall app, and of course, view the captions along with them. So if you do decide to use the smartphone app, there are a couple of features that I recommend taking a look at. So if you hit the little pancake up on the left-hand side of the app, it'll open up some settings. You'll see caller ID. So you can turn on your caller ID so that when you make outbound calls from the app, it actually shows up as your main phone number. That'll help your family members and friends who have your number saved know that it's you actually on the other end calling them. Similarly, you can set up call forwarding so that all of the phone calls that go to your number actually get routed through the app. A lot of people choose to do this if they're enjoying the captioning service. This is optional, so you can opt to do that or not to do that. Essentially, you'd use your app independently, or you can fully integrate it into your phone and all of your phone's operations will begin to route through it. Now, you may be asking, do I have to choose between the landline and the smartphone? The simple answer is no. I've been using both services over the last handful of weeks, and they integrate really nicely. You can use the smartphone when you're on the go, and when you're at home, you can use the amplified landline and you get captions in either context. A really nice way to give yourself some flexibility. So that's it. Now you understand CaptionCall's technology, their service, how the whole process works, and whether you might be a fit for CaptionCall. If you're interested in getting in touch with their team, you can drop down to the link below. There's a form you can fill out and they'll get in touch with you and start the installation process. Thank you and good luck with your research.